Okay, so big news again over the last 24 hours. I feel like we're living that 24-hour news cycle. Um, Dave Castro has now stepped up into the CEO role of CrossFit. We're not going to dive into that realm too much in terms of what anyone predicts he's going to do, if there's going to be any major changes, because we just don't know. And at this point, it'd be just purely speculation. But we wanted to come to bring up an idea that we had that thought would be pretty beneficial. And that was the idea of a co-op. And Dan brought this up a little earlier. You want to explain what your idea was behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm hoping I see out of CrossFit, and again, I don't think they're going to go in this direction, and I think they'll miss. It's a huge opportunity to miss for them. But it's the concept of a co-op, and I think when a lot of people think of a co-op, they think of REI because that's the biggest co-op that most people have connection with. But it doesn't have to be structured that way. REI is pretty simple in the fact that you buy a membership. That membership actually gives you one share in the company, but that share is really good for anything except for receiving dividends. And those dividends are given to you based on what they call patronage. And patronage is, in REI's case, how much money you spend with them, right? What's cool about co-ops, because we've been kind of like diving into them and thinking about them, is you can set them up so there's different classes of members. So you can have the affiliates can be a member of this CrossFit co-op. The employees can be a membership group. The ownership can be a membership group. And if they ever get any investors or any type of people who can help them grow, that can be its own membership group. And you can divvy up the roles and responsibilities and rights accordingly.
That's interesting. It didn't dawn on me that there could be layers and different levels to the structure of a co-op like that. What do you think? What's the benefit of this idea of a co-op for the affiliate space and affiliate owners?
Well, there's a lot, right? So really, every affiliate is somewhat invested in the overall success of CrossFit. So it creates a symbiotic relationship between affiliates and HQ, where it's not just it makes it a closer connection. In reality, like HQ plays a big role in these affiliates' lives and vice versa, but there's no mutually shared benefit between them that's really explicit. It's just kind of like, you get to use our name, right? So like, it could be like, once this is formed as a co-op, it could be said like, hey man, 10% of all the money that comes in is going to be used towards marketing the overall CrossFit brand, which includes individual affiliates. It could be design services. It could be like RRG is set up as a co-op, interestingly enough, the insurance group, right? So insurance can be rolled into that. Health benefits can be rolled into that. Payroll services might be able to be rolled into that. There's a lot of layers you can add to this to make it more and more. At the simplest level, it just could be representation. Like the affiliate class gets a certain number of votes to say who the CEO is going to be, who the board can be, what type of direction we're going to go in a big scale path, right? It could just be that.
So it sounds like there's a ton of benefits here. My guess, or my question now is like, why hasn't it happened? Or why has someone not put this idea forward earlier? And why now? What obviously there's a lot that's changed. So now there's just this opportunity, this void of leadership and structure. So now it's kind of a prime time to do it. But why hasn't this been proposed earlier if there's so many benefits to it? Like, what are the downsides, or is it just a preference from leadership?
Yeah, I'll speak to that in two different forms. One is, why hasn't it been brought up? It hasn't been brought up because, for the most part, the corporation is the de facto business formation structure of choice in America, and no one really thinks of co-ops, right? What is the cons to it? Well, I mean, from Glassman's side, he's going to give up some of his company, like just give it up. He's going to give up the autonomy. He's going to have to answer to some people. There's going to be more responsibilities on their end and more accountability. And I don't know. I mean, one could argue maybe that's what they need. One can argue maybe that's what he doesn't want, right? So if he really wants to show the community that he wants to represent their best interest, this is the answer, right? And I think affiliates should put that pressure on them.
Right, you share the interest with everybody.
Yeah.
explicitly.
And there's some accountability and there's some insight, right? We don't know what they're doing, why they're doing it, and it's just people at the top just firing off tweets whenever they want, right? And this would add some accountability
and that was one of the major concerns for the past couple of years is you don't know exactly where HQ is or what their thinking process decision is until they make the decision.
Like why are they losing affiliates, right? Because people are like, yeah, exactly. You have people at the top who are making comments, claims, and suggestions that may or may not be agreeable with you, and you have no recourse or you can't control that. So that's why people are distancing themselves from CrossFit. Right, whereas if you are in a co-op and everyone's in this together, you circle the wagons and you run to the top of the hill together, you'll stop bleeding affiliates for that reason, right? You're actually giving them ownership.
Yeah, real ownership, not just the rights to use a name.
Exactly.
Brian or Eric, you guys want to chime in on any of this? You guys have any ideas on this co-op idea?
Well, I think going backwards into that why not a co-op to begin with is that, and this has been articulated in many different articles and even in many different interviews, is that the service that CrossFit as a company provides, they're filed under, or their company structure is not a business development company. It's an education platform, or it's like, I don't even know what the official title was designed at, but let's just say it was an education platform and that was it. I want to say it was like, God, I have to go back to the original article and look at it, but it was like a production or education company only. It was not designed to be business development or business oversight. And Greg has written and spoken many times, he didn't want it. He didn't want to be in your business at all. And I think that's been his defense for over a decade. Like, I write blogs, I write content, I produce the methodology. That's as far as I want to go, and whatever you want to do with it is up to you. And I don't want to have any say in your business, and I don't want you to have any say in my business. And so I think a co-op would have been the farthest from his idea, because he doesn't want involvement, or didn't past tense, didn't want involvement. But is the CrossFit of 2020 the same as the CrossFit of 2005? It's not.
Times have changed.
Times have completely changed. And so I mean, is there an evolution on the horizon for the greater good of all affiliates, or is the horizon only for the greater good of HQ, like the company? Because you're talking about two separate entities. You're talking about the end user, the affiliate, or you're talking about the company. The person that we license the mark from.
Well, I think you kind of have to put on your.
Go ahead, Brian.
Go ahead.
I mean, from a marketing perspective, I think like you're saying, the times have changed, and you got to put on your big boy pants now. Even though Glassman's original intent was, not to interfere, but I think the fact now is you've built a brand that people have aligned with, and that baby has grown up, and you now
it's a teenager now.
Right.
It's a wild teenager.
It's a living, breathing, entity itself that you have to take responsibility for. And I think this is where, moving into, you're talking about how the entity is, was something that was not supposed to, interfere. But, now you're starting to take a look at like something more along the lines of a co-op or a public benefit corporation, where, everybody is in alignment with the actual intent of it. But now, from the business side of things, you've built almost a franchise or franchiseless franchise model with the marketing of quote unquote CrossFit. So you kind of have to realize that the sign of the times, you have to take responsibility for this platform that you've built.
Totally.
I also think 10 years ago, CrossFit really didn't have as much power to interfere with your business, like Eric was saying. Like, I don't want to interfere with your business, and you don't interfere with mine. But in one tweet, he interfered with 15,000 businesses pretty drastically, right? So the reality is the power is there. And on the other side of the coin, all these gyms running on their own as a strength and conditioning gym or fitness gym on their own, it's like 1 + 1 = 5 when you're in the CrossFit community, and 1 + 1 = 0.75 when you're on your own.
Correct. So totally.
Just that in and of itself is like interfering or part of your business,
Agreed.
Just what it's evolved into.
A lot of good ideas thrown out today. If you're watching this, let us know what you think. Do you have any other alternatives to put forward? Any ideas of how HQ can be restructured for the benefit of each affiliate owner? If you do, definitely let us know. Hit the comments. Share it with us, and maybe we can discuss it on next Good Stuff call. All right, guys, man. We have a lot to think about, but wish everyone luck for the next 24 hours. Hopefully nothing changes too drastically.
Okay.
Catch you guys tomorrow.
Right on. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Later.